Hey there fellow soldiers, and welcome back to Hall Gaming. I'm Hall, and today we've got an explosive video lined up for all of you Battlefield 2042 enthusiasts. We're counting down the top 10 tips for Battlefield 2042, how to dominate the battlefield. If you're looking to level up your game or leave your mark on the battlefield, you'd come to the right place. So grab your gear, check your ammo, and let's dive into the action.
Not secure anymore.
Tip number 1 is loadout mastery. Your loadout is your lifeline. Customize your weapons, attachments, and gadgets to suit your playstyle. Experiment with different loadouts to find what works best for you in different situations. Whether you're a run and gunner, a spray and prayer, or you like to sit back, medium, long range, snipe, give intel, help out the team that way, it's totally up to you, but make sure your loadout suits whatever style you want to play, because it will make the difference. Tip number 2, spot and communicate. Use the spot button to mark enemies and objectives for your team. Effective communication can be a game changer in Battlefield 2042. Make use of in-game voice chat or external communication tools to coordinate with your squad. Most people currently do not really use the in-game voice chat. Even the chat box is really only used at the end, occasionally used throughout if we're pushing a specific point and maybe conquest, but it's not really used in the game. So external communication like Discord or using a chat forum with your squad can be so beneficial. Communicating on what choke point you're moving to, what objective you're going after, it makes a big difference. But if you want to communicate with everybody on the battlefield, use spotting. Even when you're down and not out and waiting for a revive, spot where the enemy is. Click it multiple times so it highlights on the battlefield, and then leave it marked if the person's staying in that area so everybody else around you knows where the enemy is. They can kill the enemy and then come pick you up. Tip number 3 is play the objectives. This is an age-old Battlefield argument. Are you playing for personal points and scoreboard, or are you playing for the objectives and trying to win the game for the team? So in game modes like Conquest and Breakthrough, you need to prioritize capturing and defending objectives. Points are often awarded for holding these areas, and a well-coordinated team can dominate the scoreboard. You can personally dominate the scoreboard without having the most kills. If you're helping the team out, you're using the specialist hardware or gadgets really well, you're setting up spawn points somewhere behind the enemy lines, you're doing all the things, you're setting up the gadgets around the actual objectives to help defend or to push through to another objective. All that is going to help you get points. Battlefield rewards teamwork and objective based gameplay, so make sure you're playing the objectives because your whole team will appreciate it. Tip number 4 is use cover and movement. So don't be a sitting duck. I get stuck with this one all the time. I like to really post up and defend specific objectives and sit in a spot, find a good spot, put down some ammo, put down my gadgets, and hunker down. Some might call it camping. I call it playing smart because it's not Call of Duty, but there's multiple ways to play this game. So make sure you're utilizing cover, but also keep moving. If you get found out, don't keep going back to the same spot. They know you're going to go there. So Battlefield 2042 is all about dynamic battles. So strafing, crouching, going prone can help you stay alive longer. Prone is a huge thing in Battlefield 2042, so make sure you're using it. If you're getting pinged from way far away and you don't know where it's at, hit the ground until you can get your bearings and figure out what's going on. Tip number 5, teamwork is key. Teamwork can be the difference between victory and defeat. Absolutely. Battlefield is not Call of Duty. Stick with your squad, revive fallen teammates, and support each other with different classes and gadgets. If you see a bunch of medics on your team, go with something else. Or if you see a bunch of medics in your squad, switch it up and try to diversify your squad so that you can help each other out. Whether someone's running vehicles, go ahead and grab the repair tool with one of the engineers so you can jump out and repair the vehicle. Just be a helpful teammate. If you see someone that's doing a really good job in a vehicle, jump in the gunner seat. You don't always have to be the number one for everything. So teamwork in Battlefield is so appreciated, and it really makes a big difference on the scoreboard, and you'll see it very easily. Tip number 6, probably my favorite. Master the vehicles. I absolutely love vehicles. That's why I play Battlefield 2042 really more than any other shooter. I'm not very good at shooting games in general. I'm not a good shooter. I'm not nearly as quick as everybody else on pull up and everything else, but playing in vehicles makes this levels the battlefield. Ooh. So Battlefield 2042 features a wide range of vehicles. Whether it's a tank, helicopter, ATV, spend time mastering their controls and understanding their strengths and weaknesses. And understand the strengths against other vehicles or the weaknesses against other vehicles. If there's a helicopter that's absolutely demolishing your team, you should know how to take that helicopter out. Jump in an AA, switch over to AA rounds on the primary and take the thing out. Put on the AA locking missiles, hack the helicopter. Know ways to take out all the different vehicles so that you can help your team defend against them. Tip number 7, learn the maps. You're not going to learn the maps until you really just play them enough. So understanding the maps is absolutely crucial. Knowing the key landmarks, choke points, especially on the new one, Redacted. Holy smokes, there's tons of choke points. Flanking routes, know all of these things because you're going to need to get around those major choke points to get in behind to maybe get an objective on the other side of the map. This knowledge gives you an edge in positioning and ambushing the enemy. You know all those amazing YouTube shorts you love to see of a person going on a 10 kill rampage behind enemy lines? Yeah, you only get those by knowing the maps and how to get around the major choke points and behind the enemy team. So learn the maps. Tip number 8, adapt to the game mode. Different game modes require different strategies. Adapt your playstyle to fit the objectives and dynamics of the mode you're playing. Perfect example is if you're playing Breakthrough versus Conquest and you're on defense on Breakthrough, you shouldn't be running the same vehicle loadout setup for both of those, I believe. I think they're two different game modes. You're going to be going against way more vehicles on Breakthrough Defense than you would potentially on Conquest, at least all congregated into one area. It's a giant choke point, so you should be set up. Your weapon loadout should be set up differently. The specialist you're using potentially be different. So make sure you're adapting not only your play, but the loadout you're using, the specialists you're using, the vehicles, the vehicle loadouts, all of those things for the specific game mode you may be playing. Just consider all that. It's a lot, but you can really change and be diverse in your play style to make sure you can play all types of different game modes. Tip number 9, be aware of your surroundings. So this one is hilarious. This is where a lot of the YouTube shorts, memes, Battlefield 2042 moments come from, where you have the snipers laying on the ground next to their ammo box and the person standing over top of them or literally staring through their scope at them. All of that is because they're unaware of their surroundings, especially with medics. If you are a medic, you have to be the most aware of your surroundings. Don't be looking down sights. Listen for people screaming to be picked up, because I have plenty of scenarios where I'm laying on the ground 2 feet from a medic who's down a sniper scope ADSing and doesn't even realize what's around them. So keep an eye on the minimap. I struggle with this, and listen for audio clues. I'm good at audio cues. I'm not great at the minimap. I'm working on the minimap myself because it is a huge giveaway, especially with all the ways to see the red dots on bringing people up on the map. So pay attention to your surroundings and anticipate enemy movements and actions. If you see a choke point and it is just flooded with people, and there's a choke point on the other side, and you only have one of your fellow teammates guarding that choke point, and you see there's an X on the screen because that person died, the enemy team's probably flooding that way. So you want to make sure you're moving over, or maybe even spotting it to let people know that we got a problem. Tip number 10 is practice and patience. I know this seems obvious, but there are many things in Battlefield 2042 that if you don't practice and you aren't patient with, it'll be very frustrating. For instance, jets and helicopters. And if you pick up a plane or you pick up a helicopter and the first thing you do is fly it right into a building at the very beginning of a Conquest game, the whole team is going to be very upset because you need to start conquering the skies. So make sure you're heading into the AI or practice rounds and you're playing some Conquest against AI. You can make them more and more difficult, and just take your time, find out what you like, find out what loadouts work for you, and use all of that practice to get good. So hopefully those 10 tips were helpful. If you're new to Battlefield, let me know which one of these 10 tips you use quite often. I think that's all I have, and we will see you out on the battlefield.